You never know when you're going to have that kind of impact on someone that they'll remember their whole lifetime. I think we've all had those kind of impact moments in our lives that hopefully most of them are positive. We've all had some negative ones, but that drive us and change us. But you just never know.
Welcome to the InitiativeOne Leadership Podcast, where we help leaders maximize their impact and transform their lives. I'm your host, Nighbor, as well as the VP of Strategic Partnership for InitiativeOne. And today's guest that we have on the show is Dr. Phil Ertl. Dr. Phil Ertl serves as a transformation leader right here at InitiativeOne. A little bit about his background. Phil spent over 30 years in the public education industry. And now he serves as a transformational leader, helping leaders and organizations building healthy cultures, removing drama, and just overall helping companies be more healthy. So in today's episode, what we get to do is we get to learn a little bit more about Phil, and you're going to hear about this in some future episodes. It's going to be get to know the team at InitiativeOne. And today, that's Phil Ertl. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nick. Happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to get into these questions. I really am. And I'll make it easy on you. Maybe not. We're going to start here. Your 2-word purpose.
Purposefully driven.
Purposefully driven. Okay.
Which to most people, when you say, I exist to, it doesn't fit.
Okay.
But to me, it has a clear understanding. I think listening to the think tank today as well would really kind of make it more clear of why that I want to be purposefully driven in things that I do and everything that I do.
Okay. And I want to give some context for the listener here today. When I say the 2-word purpose, anyone that's gone through our leadership transformation process, that is a little bit of the end result, correct?
Right.
Trying to find out, all right, what is it about me that I can show up as my best self? And the 2-word purpose that you came up with was purposefully driven.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, that was back in 2016.
Okay.
And it still is something I use right now.
Okay. So how does that relate in terms of you showing up to organizations? How do you use that 2-word purpose when you're in front of a group of, 10 or 15 leaders?
I think overall, like big picture, it's what I'm doing, the work I'm doing. You want to be living on purpose and living by your purpose. And my purpose is to help others understand how you can be driven in a positive way and not take it to the extreme, and to be successful without being driven, not purposefully, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. And it's really interesting with, what we just did here this morning on the think tank, the difference between a driven leader and a deliberate leader.
Yeah, if I'm not consciously thinking about it, I go to the driven mode. And so when I have a 2-word purpose that reminds me, stay purposefully driven.
Yes.
Stay purposefully driven. That helps me.
That's really cool. Here's another question for you. What problem do you solve for leaders in education?
I don't know that I solve any problems. I help them identify their own problems.
Okay.
Help them to find solutions to challenges that they have. What I have is a ton of experience and a lot of decisions, a lot of different things that I've gone through in my position. So the opportunity to be able to share that, and also share what I've learned through InitiativeOne and the background I've had with working with InitiativeOne to help people become better at their jobs, whether it's as a school superintendent, school principal, school teacher, or it's something, some other leadership position in a different industry. But I think also trying to get people to recognize that they're all leaders. I think in education, for example, teachers don't necessarily think their job is that they don't think of themselves as a leader. That's not my job. Well, everybody's a leader. And teachers probably are our greatest leaders, leading a group of kids in the classroom. So,
yes, influencing tens of hundreds or maybe even thousands based on how big the area is.
Absolutely.
Correct? That's interesting how you said that. I said, what problem do you solve? And I don't solve anything. I help them discover
Right.
right? How can I bring my talents and abilities to show up as my best self? And then once I have that, and it's a never ending, right? You're always in process, identifying that, and then like, all right, now how can I lead these others now that I know more about myself as a leader?
Right. And I can share, like I said, my experience, when you talk about experience, it's about the mistakes and errors that you've made and learned from, and you want to help people avoid making those same mistakes, making different ones instead, because we know we all learn by mistakes.
Right. And we don't like to make mistakes, but that's where growth comes from.
Absolutely.
So I could admit that I don't like making mistakes, but that's a sign of growth. All right, this is an area that Nick needs to get better in, right?
Absolutely.
So cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. You're a big fan of football, aren't you?
A little bit.
You are. So let's talk about like what you do for fun. I see you're wearing a sport coat today. I'm wearing a sport coat. Do you wear sport coats every 7 days a week?
I'm going to go with a no on that.
You're going to go with no. I believe you. So tell us about yourself. Like what are some hobbies? What do you do for fun? What do you got going on? What's going on in Phil's world?
Phil's world. Let's see. We've transitioned through stages of our kids now being out of high school, and they were heavily involved in sports for many years. So we spent a lot of our time engaging with our kids in sports, and I helped coach my kids. And now it's just the opportunity to go and watch one of my sons play and take on that next stage of being a parent of older teenagers or older young men.
Yes.
And then I like to do things outdoors, and we recently purchased a cottage in northern Wisconsin, and we're doing some major renovations on it. So I'd like to do that.
So that will probably keep you busy because
Sure.
this is a recent purchase. You just bought this recently.
Yeah, it'll keep me busy for a lifetime. I'm sure of that. So once we get through the main parts of it, make it livable, and then we should be able to go from there.
Great. Someone who has made an impact on your life, Phil. Who's someone that's made an impact for you?
Roger Herring is somebody that has had a huge impact on me, and he was the head coach of our college football team.
Okay.
And it really, I've thought about this for many years of what is that impact actually, and it's being involved in a program for a lot of different things, whether it was the success and how they define success and how we were treated and all those components of working together as a team. Everything people say you get so much out of athletics, and that's my background. That's where I've developed leadership, was through athletics, and it's about role models that have been involved. And our coach was somebody that set a program in place, had expectations for us, and we did the best we could to live up to those. And fortunately, we were able to take a lot of those learnings with me throughout my life.
And we learn so much through athletics growing up, being part of a team. I mean, there's individual sports, but then there's teams. And then you said you've coached as well.
Right.
Correct? So just being a coach, like that's an amazing responsibility to be able to speak the language of excellence into these young athletes that are trying to overcome their, whenever they have a failure, helping them get through to all right, no, let's get back up the line. Let's go again.
Yeah, I mean, I think athletics presents so many opportunities to deal with adversity. That's just kind of how a game is set up. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and losing is considered adversity. Mm-hmm. So how do we overcome that? How do we work toward the common goal? How do we bring a team of people together? How do we make those things happen? So all those components played into how I coached, how I lead, who I am as a person, to be honest.
Are you satisfied with the current levels of accountability in your organization? Join us next month for our next leadership event, where we're discussing how you can energize your team through consensus-driven leadership. This event is our gift back to the community. Join us in person or online by registering at InitiativeOne.com. So as you were a coach previously and now doing what you're doing here for Initiative One, what have you taken from what you did as a coach, or even perhaps even as a superintendent, to what you're doing today? Like, what are one or two things that you've brought into what you're doing now?
I think the relationship piece was always important to me.
Okay.
Trying to create and develop good relationships, and that part of it, we know that's important through the InitiativeOne process as well. I just think overall, my experience, the opportunities that were given to me, and probably more importantly, the mentors that I've had, have helped me get to the point where I can also share that with others and recognize that I have things I can share and help people get better at their craft and hopefully better as people.
You help a lot of leaders in education. There's multiple industries that you help, having the history that you have in education. Like, what gets you most excited about working with some of these superintendents?
The opportunity to see the growth. I used to joke around that I really liked mowing lawn because
Okay.
you could actually see progress, and you can get it done. And in education, sometimes you're involved in a decision or something that happens, and you don't see the end results for years. And sometimes even then, it's hard to see the results of the work. Excuse me. And I think taking that opportunity to be able to see other people find success and watch that success, and through our process of kind of being from the outside looking in, and watching people grow over time is just, it's been amazing. I was thinking of it as I was driving here this morning. Like, if you're living your life on purpose, your joy bell is being rung. And I think even sitting for the think tanks and just doing this work, my joy bell is ringing off the hook. It's been an amazing experience, an amazing opportunity, and it's one of those things that's not about me. It's about others and giving back to others. And when you have the opportunity to do that in this way, it's pretty awesome.
Say that one more time. Knocking the joy bell. How did you say that? I want you to repeat that. You're ringing your joy bell.
Ringing your joy bell. Mine's been ringing off the hook since I've.
There we go. Ringing your joy bell off the hook.
Now, I know cell phones don't have hooks, but back in the day, on the dial phones, they had hooks.
They were attached to walls at one time.
Right.
Our kids don't know much about that, do they?
No, they don't.
How amazing is that? You're coming up from the Milwaukee area, getting ready to attend an event this morning. We had close to 800 people register, and you are bringing so much value to the marketplace, and you're making an impact. And yes, you don't see the lines in the backyard with the mowing lines. Yes, you don't see that, that concrete result, but the ripple effect.
Right,
I've
been able to see that concrete result with some people in the past year and a half, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. 800 people are going to have the opportunity. Not only are they willing to put 45 minutes in or an hour into this, but they're getting something back out, and what they're getting back out is immeasurable. And for some people today, is going to be something they'll remember for a lifetime. And
Yes.
I know that it's like you never know when you're going to have that kind of impact on someone that they'll remember their whole lifetime. I think we've all had those kind of impact moments in our lives that hopefully most of them are positive. We've all had some negative ones, but that drive us and change us. But you just never know. That responsibility of being a communicator with people, that you never know when you're going to have that kind of impact.
Right. That's really encouraging and inspiring, because as you're reaching out to someone tomorrow or next week and introducing them to some information here, like, their life will be impacted, could be forever.
Right.
Which is, that's meaningful work. That's
Right.
impact.
Absolutely.
That's
And that's what we do. Our goal is impact.
Yes, that's exactly what we do here at InitiativeOne,
Right.
is to make an impact on leaders and organizations, so then they could move forward and do the mission that they're on. Correct?
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really powerful. Closing thoughts. There are so many different people that listen to this podcast. Any advice that you'd have out there and you said everyone's a leader, right? So I'm not going to talk to someone that is in a leader, necessarily have a leadership position or title, but what's some advice that you would share for someone that has influence with others?
Keep working on it. If you think you've arrived, give it up. Go out on top if you think you're there. But I don't think we ever arrive. And it's something we just keep working on, keep getting better at, and keep being mission focused and making sure that we're helping people and helping people live on purpose and helping people find their purpose. And just keep communicating in positive ways to keep them growing. I think it's an obligation that you have to give back, but I think it's more of an opportunity to have an impact. And I think most people really want to have an impact, so you got to seize the day. I mean, seize the moment and take advantage of it.
So we're always in a process. It's an obligation, but it's really more of a gift that we can give to others.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity.
Is that what you were saying there?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for being on the show here today, Phil. I really appreciate that. And for all the listeners that are hearing about you and your story and who you get to help, it's such a pleasure to work with you and make an impact with leaders together. So thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Nick, for what you do, and appreciate working with you as well.
Yes, perfect. And if this is the first time that you're either watching this or listening to this podcast, I want to encourage you, if you love this episode, leave a rating, leave a review. What we want to do here at InitiativeOne is to impact more and more people. So if you found some value, give us a rating, give us a review. If you know someone that could be impacted from this message here today, go ahead and share it. Family, friend, coworker. We want to impact more and more people, and the best way to do that is just by sharing this episode with one person that you know. That's the best way that we can make an impact. Earlier on in the episode, we had talked about this think tank event. It's a leadership event that we do every single month, and we cover a topic that many organizations are experiencing right now. Earlier today, we had talked about the difference between a driven leader and a deliberate leader. And if you've not attended one of our think tank events, go to InitiativeOne.com and go under think tanks and go ahead and register for the next one. We host this event in person in Green Bay, Wisconsin, as well as online virtually. Just recently this month, here in November, there was close to 800 people that were registered for this event. And we want to be able to impact more and more people every single month. So thank you so much for listening. And remember, leadership isn't about what you do, it's who you are.